Hey, welcome to another video episode of Back to the Past. I'm Blair. My project for probably this next week or so is going to be replacing this junky old harbor freight shelter. It's not going to make it through the winter this year for sure. I've already poured 2 posts. I'm using 4x4 treated posts. Now, on the one on the far end, I had some problems with rock there. There was one humongous one that was probably 300 pounds right at the surface, so I went ahead and pulled that out with the tractor. And then when I got down 6 inches, I found another one that wasn't as big, but I didn't want to enlarge the hole anymore. So what I did is I drilled some holes in it, tried chipping it out, didn't chip out with the chipping gun. So I put in a feather wedge, which I'll show you in just a minute. And that ended up working well. It cut that rock right in two. Well, right now I'm working on this center post and I've got the same situation. I've dug out several rocks as big as my fist already, but there's one that is quite a bit larger. I don't know, maybe 6, 8, 12 inches in diameter, and God only knows how long it is. It's a long son of a gun because I've beat the heck out of it and not even making it wiggle. So let's take a look at that next. Well, here you can see what I'm up against. The several smaller rocks were in the shallow area of the hole. I'm down about 15 inches to the top of this one. I would really like to get it out of the way. If I had to, I could go ahead and offset the post in that direction 6 inches and be fine. I'd rather not do that. So my first attempt is going to be to break out this rock to get it out of the way, because it goes back in that direction a long, long ways. So I've drilled 3 holes. The one yesterday was a lot shallower than this, so it was pretty easy to get several different angles and get more holes in it than this because of the way this slopes. And Gabby helping me out here. Because of the way this slopes, the drill bit just slides right off the side. So I've got 3 holes in it. And I put in that hole what I call a feather wedge. I don't know if that's the right name for it. But essentially, I drill a 1/2 inch hole. I put in this wedge assembly and then drive this down into it. And what that does is to spread the rock and hopefully crack it. Now, if you've got a lot of holes drilled in a fairly straight line, typically it will break right on that line. This rock, this hole here went probably 9 or 10 inches deep before I went through it. That one about the same. That one maybe 6 inches. But I'm hoping that this chunk breaks off. Now, I don't have room to use a hammer, so what I'll have to use is my big bar and beat on it with that. We'll give it a shot. Now, I'm going to see if I can do this with the camera where it is. I might not be able to. It doesn't leave me an awful lot of room, and I don't want to break the camera, but let me give it a shot. There is still some rock down here, but I would be deep enough that I would call this good if I can't get that out. If it'll come out fairly easily, I'll try to take that out and dig this down another 6 inches, but I'm happy with where it is. And this is what the piece looks like that I just broke out. I think that's deep enough. I'm going to go ahead and compact the bottom of that hole a little bit and then put in a shovel of pea gravel just for drainage for the bottom of the post. Now I've put in structural screws in the bottom of the post to kind of tie it all together with the concrete. These are treated posts that I actually bought for another project about 2 years ago, so they're nice and dry and surprisingly very, very straight. So I think this should turn out pretty well. One thing I did, with Gabby's help of course, is to put some additional waterproofing on the bottom 2.5 feet of this. I believe I'm ready to mix some concrete. I have the old Harbor Freight structure down and packed away. There are actually only two bent pipes on that, and really for a 10 by 20 structure it wasn't nearly enough. But for use over maybe a garden box and making a temporary or semi-permanent greenhouse, it may work just fine. So I did save all the parts from it. Back to this, because I'm kind of a nerd for engineering, just to explain, this isn't going to be built nothing like what the carport was. The carport I overbuilt it, but it's used for storage, it's used to protect automobiles. And again, it's really overbuilt for that. But this here, I only expect to have to use it for 5 years or so for storage when I go to cleaning out the old cabin. The stuff that I've got in there that needs some amount of protection. I mean, this isn't going to offer a ton of it. It'll keep sunlight and moisture from coming straight down, but I'm going to leave the sides open on it. But for lumber and maybe emptying out my garden shed, getting lawnmowers and such put under here, it'll work wonderful for that. So it's not built nearly as heavy as what the carport is. This morning I set a treated 2x10, which is tied to the structure of the solar panels on top. Green treated lumber, after it's treated, it's not dried, so it's extremely heavy. That probably weighed well over 100 pounds, and I needed the help of the tractor to get it up there. It's set in place. I've got the double 2x6 nailed together that I'm going to use for a beam on this side, and that's the next thing I have to do. Everything is set level, plumb, and square, so I'm ready to start on the rafters. Now when I built that structure for the solar panels, I was concerned enough about getting the solar panels up. I didn't really care if things were a little bit out of square and such with that, which they are. And there's actually a little bit of a bow in that upper 2x10 that I've got up there. So I'm going to have to measure each of these rafters individually. I don't think anything's going to be off by more than 1/2 inch, but probably less than that. But I'll measure them all accurately to where I get a good set on the beam. I'm now ready to put in some rafters. I've already put in 5, mostly just to hold a good straight spacing on everything. So I've got, I guess there's 11 more that I have to put in. I'll go ahead and get those put in. Originally, when I looked at load charts, they only really needed to be put in at 2-foot centers. I'm so used to building everything at 16-inch centers that that's what I went ahead and laid out for. So that's what I'm going to do. If you've been with me a long time, you may remember that these panels are bifacial panels, so I don't want to do any more damage to shading the area than I absolutely have to. So this has a clear plastic roof on it. Now everything basically from the barn to the west, I don't really care that it doesn't look old and rustic because solar panels certainly don't. Anyway, what that does is it lightens up this roof a lot. When I built the carport, I had a roof dead load of about 15 pounds per square foot. On this, it's going to be about 3 pounds per square foot, so it can be built a lot lighter. Right now, I'll get those sleepers in up to the top, and then if it doesn't get too windy today, I'll start with the clear plastic panels. I had intended to start the camera when I finished up the last sheet or two, but all my batteries were dead, so I didn't do it, so that didn't get recorded, but you can see what it turned out like. This baby is finished, and I guess so is this video. Still got lots of projects to do before winter, and I found out today that I've got a torn rotator cuff that I've been working with the last month or so. So come December, right around Christmas, I'll probably have to have some surgery, and then I'll be off for a little while. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.